I'm Kimbra, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the gear that I am selling on my Reverb store. I recently downgraded my studio to just the bare essentials that I need, and I figured it was a good opportunity to give fans and young producers a chance to inherit some of my gear that I've used across live touring and also in the studio. So I've signed the mics that are going off to the Reverb store, and they are a series of live performance mics really, and I've used them across the years. Sometimes I travel with my own mics, and some of these microphones are ones that I've sung with, on tour. And I also just like to have handheld mics around when I demo ideas if I want to be moving around the room. I don't want to be chained to like an SM7, so sometimes I'll just have a handheld live microphone. I'm excited to be selling the upright bass because this is the instrument that accompanied me and my band on our Reimagine tour. So we played synagogues and churches all around America, and this was the bass that really was, the sound of the tour, and it's gorgeous, and it's sad to see it go, but it's also, had a lot of good times with us. The Omnicord 200 is one of my favorite instruments, and I've used it across all of my records at different times. I remember particularly using it on the song Teen Heat from the Golden Echo. I remember Gautier told me about this instrument, and he said 200 is the one to get because that's before they started getting too digital with it. So it's kind of got a really sexy analog sound to it, and it's in good condition. So yeah, I hope it goes to a good home. The Loudon Guitar is a very special instrument to me. I've written a lot of songs on that guitar, and I've had it for many years. It was a prize from the International Songwriting Competition that I was very lucky to win back in 2012, 2013, I can't quite remember, but yeah, it's just a gorgeous guitar. I love the brand Loudon, and it's served me well. I've moved on to a nylon guitar these days, and I like to change up my instruments to stay inspired, but that guitar will always have a special place in my heart. I love this Music Man guitar. It's a Ernie Ball Albert Lee model, and it's like a really sexy teal blue, which always looked great aesthetically on stage. Yeah, I've used it for many performances across my electronic tours around America. I think I did a nylon performance with that guitar, and there's a few online performances featuring it. It sounds great, it's really easy to play and has a very nice feel. There's no real reason why I got rid of it except to kind of have less things and try to be a little more minimal with my setup, but it's a great guitar and I would hang on to it if I had the room. I have a couple of tambourines up on the Reverb store. I used to always have a tambourine on stage with me in my early days. I think there's something really visceral about being able to just engage my body when I was singing, to be able to actually contribute to the rhythm. They've been used across many records, so hopefully they carry the good energy with them. The MIDI wave theremin is built by a company in Australia called Horst, and it's a very interesting instrument. It's a theremin, which of course, you engage it with your hand to create different sort of sine waves. It allows you to do MIDI, so you can send MIDI samples in and then change the parameters of the sample and manipulate the sound using your hand as you would with a theremin. So it's pretty dope, and to be honest, I didn't dig as deep as I should have with that theremin, so I hope that someone does the, the work for me and finds a way to bring it to life. It's a little technical, but it's an amazing piece of gear. The Autoharp is really close to my heart because I wrote the song Vanity Fair on that instrument with Daniel Johns from Silverchair. I brought along a few inspiring instruments to our jam. I think we were riding in Australia together, and the Autoharp was something that I'd picked up at a vintage store. And you push down on certain buttons that create tension on the strings. And when you strum the harp, you get these different chords that you're creating. So it's a really beautiful, intuitive instrument, and yeah, you can hear it all over the Golden Echo, especially on the last track, the Vanity Fair. The Rhythm Composer TR-505 is just an old school drum machine that I picked up from a secondhand store. It's cool. It doesn't do a ton, but it's like, it does what it does really well, and the sounds are really vibey, and I've definitely used it more as a writing tool if I just need a simple, kick snare idea to just loop around. It's a great way to just load something up quickly. The TC Helicon Voice Live Touch 2 is a staple for me, and I have kept one here at my studio, but I had quite an influx of them, so I thought it would be nice to share them, and they've been used a lot, so people will notice a few scratches all over them, but they've done the hard yards on the road with me. Yeah, I encourage vocalists to all own a TC Helicon because you can get so creative with sampling your own voice and applying effects on the fly. So yeah, I'm excited to see what people do with that. The Maschine Studio is an epic drum machine, and of course it is connected to the software, Native Instruments software. Maschine has amazing drum samples. I've written so many drum beats using Maschine. It's kind of my main tool for programming. I downsized to a smaller version of the Maschine, so I thought it's time to sell the bigger one, but it's an amazing piece of gear. I got into a stage of collecting a lot of instruments by Critter and Guitari. They're a small company out of Brooklyn, and they make amazing, strange, weird synthesizer, pocket piano, odd instruments, and I've been using them for years. Again, I wanted to just get back down to basics, so I've kept my Septivox by Critter and Guitari, but I thought it'd be nice to, pass on the pocket piano and the Volca bass, both incredible sounding instruments. They all have MIDI capability as well, which allows you to do so much more, and they're like super dope looking. The Korg Volca Sampler is a really creative tool for just getting inspiration and ideas. It has really cool samples inbuilt into the machine, but you can also sample into it. It's simple to use, it's nice and portable, and I'd say I've used that a fair bit on demos. I've often replaced the drums later with more elaborate live drums, but it's a great starting point to just get a vibey sampled beat down. The Ableton push controller has been a staple part of my studio for a while now. I started getting into it when I was first showcasing my electronic live band, where we were relying heavily on Ableton for tracks and doing a lot of live programming, bringing in the chorus at a certain point, looping the outro so we could do a jam. And the push allowed me to be really flexible with my arrangements and also be able to apply effects on the fly and have a visceral controller, so I wasn't interacting with a computer on stage, which is not as inspiring. Yeah, I think it's a fantastic controller, and it makes working in Ableton so much more inspiring for me. The MIDI controllers that will be up on the Reverb store are from my most recent live setup. So I was using various controllers that were turning off and on effects from the H9, or perhaps interacting with the computer to trigger effects from Ableton. So yeah, they're just well-used controllers that have been durable across many years on the road. So it's a whole range of things, from microphones to instruments to little MIDI controllers and drum machines, just basically anything that I felt had its life. I had used it on a record, I was proud of the contribution it had made to my music, but it was time to say goodbye. So I'm really excited for the gear to find good homes.